If video games are to be trusted, I've learned that being a ghost can have its benefits. Sure, the whole being dead thing sucks, but you can also gain some pretty impressive supernatural abilities. And, if you play your cards right, you just might be able to save a few lives with your new tricks. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is a puzzle game for the DS, and made by Shu Takumi, the creator of the Ace Attorney series. The game opens with a shot of our protagonist. His name is Sissel. And he's dead. And if dying with your corpse lost in an unflattering position wasn't bad enough, he can't remember anything prior to the moment of his death. He can't remember how he died, what his name was, what he was doing before he died. He can't even remember how to read. And on top of all that, there's a young woman just a few feet away from him who's at risk of suffering from the same fate. Luckily, a mysterious voice has come to the rescue. He teaches Sissel how to use his newfound ghost powers, which are called ghost tricks. First, he jumps into the ghost world, where time remains frozen. Then, he can jump into and possess certain items out of cores and activate them in various ways. Sissel's reach is pretty limited though, so you'll often need to traverse through several objects to reach your destination, activating them along the way as needed. But that's not all. Another one of his ghost tricks allows him to go back in time 4 minutes before a recently deceased person kicked the bucket. This will allow him to save someone's life by manipulating the right objects at the right time. And he can rewind as many times as needed, so there's no real consequence in failing. By the way, remember that girl you had to save at the very beginning? Well, I hope you had fun with that, because you'll need to do it again. And again. And again. Seriously, after the 4 times he died, a part of me began to wonder if this chick's even worth saving. Because by that point, you have to wonder if the fates are trying to send a message that some people just need to stay dead. And yes, she did just get crushed to death by a giant cooked chicken. It's a pretty ridiculous game sometimes. Which isn't all that surprising given who made it. The animation is a particularly impressive feature, especially given that this is a DS game. The movements of the characters are fluid and expressive, which is befitting for such an eccentric cast. So impressive, in fact, that you can admire some pretty impressive dancing. You also might notice some familiar sound effects while reading the dialogue. Speaking of similarities to Ace Attorney, Takumi said in an interview that he would like to make a crossover where Phoenix Wright is murdered and Sissel has to prosecute the killer in court. I guess that would make all the other courtroom shenanigans Wright has to deal with pale in comparison. Difficulty-wise, I would say this game is decently challenging, and requires a fair bit of trial and error in order to know what objects need to be activated at the right moment. But for the most part, the game isn't very hard, and there are several dialogue prompts that will end up nudging you in the right direction. I don't mind at all that it isn't too difficult, but I also think it would be interesting to see how challenging someone can make a puzzle game like this. And without giving away too many spoilers, about 2/3 of the way into the game there'll be another character with their own unique set of ghost tricks that will assist you. Which is fun and interesting, but it's just too bad that doesn't appear until near the end. Incidentally, this is also the point of the story where shit really starts to get real. I'm definitely not going to give anything away, but while there is a bit of foreshadowing dropped beforehand, you're probably not going to guess some of the major plot twists, no matter how good your deductive skills are. Luckily, it all leads to a satisfying ending. Ghost Trick is a very good game, and most of the people that have played it would agree. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well sales-wise, despite the great animation and name recognition, which might be why it doesn't get much attention from Capcom. Which is a shame, because I think it would be interesting to see another game like this. While graphical capabilities have significantly improved since its initial release, I would still like to see a similar art and animation style be used. It would also be neat to see new kinds of tricks involved, and even more challenging gameplay. I admit it's a bit of a long shot, but remakes and sequels of games you would least expect are released all the time, so I definitely wouldn't say never to a follow-up. Thanks so much for watching! If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click like, and subscribe if you want to see more.